Yo, yo, my little triglets. What's going on? All right, we are doing chapter 10. Oh, let's get that straight here. Chapter 10. And chapter 10 has to do with conic sections. Conic is a word that comes from the word cone. So it's like taking a cone and cutting it, slicing it in different directions and getting different shapes. Now, one of the shapes you get with a cone is if you slice it straight across, you get a circle. Now, the book actually doesn't go through the circle. It has no section on the circle. So we're going to do our own section. We're going to call this 10.0. We're going to call it our circle section. All right, so this one's not in the book. So you really got to take a lot of notes here to get all the information. All right, the basic formula for circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And r, of course, is the radius, which is usual for most math formulas. So if I had x squared plus y squared equals 16, that means the radius is 4, so I go 4 in every direction, and I just connect the circle to make a radius of 4. Now that's if it's centered on the origin. If it's off-center, it changes a little bit. The x gets moved over by an h value, and the y gets moved over by a k value. But otherwise, it's the same for everything else. So the h and k actually becomes your center instead of 0, 0. So let's say I have, x minus 4 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 36. Well, we're still going to have our circle here. Figure out what your center is. If you notice, right here and here, those are both negative. So if I have a plus, that must mean it was two negatives to make a plus. So my center is 4, but it's -2. Seems like always in math, what's in the parentheses is going to be the opposite when you take it out to evaluate things. So I go over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 2, that's my center. And then 36, that means r is 6. So then I go 6 in every direction. So it would be here, up to 4 this way and this way. And that would be our circle there. So this would be a radius of 6 in that direction. Okay, so sometimes we need to get it into this form to be able to draw it like this. And it's not always given to us in that form. So this next process we're going to do is called completing the square. Okay, so we're going to get it to be in the parentheses with the little squares on it. That's why we're completing the squares. So if you had those parentheses and you FOILed them out, you would get this form, x squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f equals 0. That's if it's been FOILed out. So let's say we had x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 6y minus 3. Okay, I'm going to put up here FOILed out form. And I think they call that general form. There's standard form and general form. I think this is general. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to work our way backwards to try to get it into the parentheses form. So we have to kind of visually and mentally see what's going on and reverse the process. First thing I want to do is get the x values next to each other. So that's my first step. Put x's and y's next to each other. All right, so I have x squared minus 4x, and then I'm also going to put a blank, and use blanks, because I'm going to have to put a number in there to complete the square. Now that'll make more sense once we keep going. All right, next the y's, I have y squared minus 6y plus blank. And then I want to put the 3 on the other side. So that's our second step. Move constants to the other side. And then you have to include the plus blank plus blank. You can't just add blanks on the left and not have them on the right. That would be unbalanced. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to write parentheses with a square, and then we're going to have a number on the right that they're all going to add up to. Now, what that parentheses is you take this number and you cut it in half. So our third step is cut in half. Okay, so it would be minus 2. So it was negative 4, now it's negative 2. And then to put up here, you got to think of squaring that 2. This little 2 tells you to square that 2, so it's going to be a 4. So our fourth step is to square the number. Okay, now let's go to the second one. So I need to cut this in half, so y minus 3. Let me go back here. Actually, this is a plus from up here. So that becomes y plus 3, and then squaring that gets me a 9. Now because I added it on the left, the 4 and the 9, I have to add it on the right to keep things balanced. Now adding all 3 of those up, I get 7 plus 9 is 16. Now it's in the circle form. I can tell that my center is 2, negative 3, and that my radius is 4. So it's very easy to graph it now that we've put it in the right form. So completing the square. All right, let's do an example of finding the endpoints of a diameter. Okay, let's say I'm given 1 and 3, negative 4, negative 2, and I want to actually find the equation of that circle. These are the endpoints of the diameter, so let's kind of draw a quick sketch here. So if I go 1, 3, and negative 4, negative 2, I have a circle that goes around those. Okay, and this is the diameter. All right, so we need to find the radius. We can find the center and the radius, and that's all we need to be able to make the equation. So to find the radius, a radius is half the diameter, so I need to find half the distance. And another name for that, if I think about the point being about right here, right in the middle, it's called the midpoint. Okay, the midpoint formula, remember from geometry, x plus x over 2 and y plus y over 2. It's the average of the points. That's how you would find an average. So ours would be 1 plus negative 4 over 2 and 3 plus negative 2 over 2. So I have negative 2 over 2, negative 3 over 2, and 1 over 2. Okay, so that point right there is negative 1.5 and 1/2. And it's pretty close to that. I mean, our drawing's pretty rusty, but it'll work. Now, what about the radius? The radius is this distance here. It's half of it. So I need to find the distance between the center point and the diameter, or the distance of the diameter. So let's go ahead and try this. I have the distance formula, first of all, is x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. Okay, so that's our formula that we're going to work with. Now let's put in our values. So I have 1 plus 4, because it's minus a negative, and 3 plus 2, and square that. So I get 5 squared and 5 squared, so that's 25, and square root of that is 50. Now, square root of 50 is the diameter. We need to find the radius. So square root of 50 over 2 is the radius. Okay, so now we have enough to set up the formula. We have the center and we have the radius. So let's put that in. So we have x minus a negative 3/2, so that'd be plus squared, and then y minus k, which would be 1/2 squared, and then we have root 50 over 2 squared for r squared. Now root 50 over 2 is really just 50 over 4. So the final answer would be that. Okay, one more to go. This one is going to take a little bit of time here. Let's say we are given 3 points and we are supposed to find the equation of the circle. So 1, 7, negative 2, and negative 8, 10 are our 3 points. Let's plot those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, negative 2, and negative 8. So, and 10. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So negative 8, 10 would be about there. So my circle, I shouldn't have gone through that one. That one is not a point. Is approximately like that. It looks more like a lopsided egg, but we'll go with it. So these 3 points, that one, and that one, are the ones that they gave us. This other one down here on the left is not part of it. It was just marking the negative 8. Okay, so we need to find the equation of that circle. So the process of finding the center and radius is a little different. So what we need to do is use that formula of x squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f. Okay, so we're going to use that and we're going to plug in all 3 points. All right, so it's going to take a little space, so I hope you have a full sheet of clean paper. If not, pause it and go get a clean sheet of paper. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 1 and 7 into the x and y right here. So I have 1 squared is 1, 7 squared is 49, plus 1d plus 7e plus f. And actually this is equal to 0. Okay, now I'm going to do it with the second point, 2 and negative 2. So negative 2 squared is 4. The other 2 is 4. Then minus 2d minus 2e plus f equals 0. And now we're going to do it with the third point. So I get 64 plus 100 minus 8d plus 10e plus f equals 0. Okay, I have 3 equations and 3 unknowns. We need to choose 2 at a time and get rid of one of the variables. So I'm going to choose these 2 and I want to get rid of f because they're both single f's and I won't have to do anything other than subtract one from the other. Okay, so I'm going to take these 2 and kind of rearrange things. I'm going to add that and move it to the right side of the equation. So I have d plus 7e plus f equals negative 50. Then I have negative 2d minus 2e plus f equals negative 8. All right, so now to get rid of f, I want to subtract, let's go with a different color here, that bottom equation. So I have d minus a negative 2d is 3d. 7 minus a negative 2e would be plus 9e. F minus f is gone. And then negative 50 plus 8 is negative 42. Okay, so we put that on hold. Now we're going to take the other 2, this one, and do the same thing. Then the resulting 2 equations we're going to put together again and try to get rid of another variable. So let's do the same thing here. I've got negative 2d minus 2e plus f equals, and then these two brought to the other side will be negative 8. Then I have negative 8d plus 10e plus f equals negative 164. That's by bringing these two to the other side. All right, the next step is to subtract that bottom row. So negative 2 plus 8 is 6d, and then negative 2 minus 10 is negative 12e. The f's go away, and then negative 8 plus 164 is 156. Okay, see, our resulting equations only have d and e in them. So if I combine them, we're going to put this one over here and get something else to cancel out, then we're on our way, because then we have only one variable left and we can solve for that. So I'm going to put 6d minus 12e equals 156 under here. Now back in Algebra 2, you learn to multiply one of these by something to get them to cancel out. So what I want to do, I want to multiply this top row by negative 2 because I will get negative 6d. The d's will eventually cancel out. And I have negative 18e, and I have positive 84. All right, so now I'm going to add these two rows together to get the d's to cancel out. Negative 12 and negative 18 is negative 30e, and adding those other two together, I get 240. Divide by negative 30, and I get e equals negative 8. Okay, now that we have 1, the rest of the process is semi-easy. We're going to take that answer e and plug it back in, like we're going to back substitute. So all you have to do is pick one equation that has an e and another variable. I'm going to use that one. So I've got 6d minus 12, the e that we just found, and then equals 156. So 6d plus 96 equals 156. Subtract 96, I get 60, so d equals 10. Okay, we're given those two, e and d. Now we have to find an equation that has d, e, and f in it. And I'm going to choose this one. Just seems easy to me. So let's get that back in there. Okay, so d we said was 10. E is negative 8 plus f equals negative 50. So I have 10 and negative 56, that'd be negative 46 plus f equals negative 50. If I add 46, then f equals negative 4. Okay, we're almost done here. So the d, e, and f we just found, we're going to plug back into that very original equation, the x squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f. So let's plug those in. X squared and y squared stay. The d we said was 10, so 10x. The e we said was negative 8y, and the f is negative 4. All right. Phew. Okay, there's the equation. That's in general form. If they want center and radius, guess what you have to do? That means you're going to have to complete the square after that in order to find that. Okay, so these problems can take quite a bit of time. Speaking of time, I better let you guys go. All right, you take care. We'll see you in class. Ta-ta.